Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. I'm Pastor Chris from Lincroft Bible Church in New Jersey, and every weekday I read one chapter of the Bible and offer one brief devotional thought. Today's reading is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 9. Wisdom has built her house. She has carved its 7 columns. She has prepared a great banquet, mixed the wines, and set the table. She has sent her servants to invite everyone to come. She calls out from the heights overlooking the city. "Come in with me," she urges the simple. To those who lack good judgment, she says, "Come, eat my food, and drink the wine I have mixed. Leave your simple ways behind, and begin to live. Learn to use good judgment. Anyone who rebukes a mocker will get an insult in return. Anyone who corrects the wicked will get hurt. So don't bother correcting mockers, they will only hate you. But correct the wise, and they will love you. Instruct the wise, and they will be even wiser. Teach the righteous, and they will learn even more. Fear of the Lord is the foundation of wisdom. Knowledge of the Holy One results in good judgment. Wisdom will multiply your days and add years to your life. If you become wise, you will be the one to benefit. But if you scorn wisdom, you will be the one to suffer. The woman folly is brash. She is ignorant and doesn't know it. She sits in her doorway on the heights overlooking the city. She calls out to men going by who are minding their own business. "Come in with me," she urges the simple. To those who lack good judgment, she says, "Stolen water is refreshing. Food eaten in secret tastes the best." But little do they know that the dead are there. Her guests are in the depth of the grave. One thought. You may not realize this, but every day there are 2 competing voices vying for your attention. Wisdom or folly? Which one will you choose to listen to? We see that both of these voices come at us every single day. Both of them cry out to us with very similar language here in Proverbs chapter 9. We see wisdom says, "Come in with me," she urges the simple. To those who lack good judgment, Wisdom is saying, hey, come into my house, learn from me, be here with me. Well, notice the parallel language that folly uses. It says, "Come in with me," she urges the simple. To those who lack sound judgment, she says, "Stolen water is refreshing." So the same language is being used by folly to get people to come in and follow her path versus wisdom to follow her path. So both are vying for our attention. But only one is worth listening to, and that is the voice of wisdom. Wisdom is so much better than folly. And we see that expressed in this chapter because wisdom produces real knowledge, but folly only brings ignorance. Look at wisdom. It says, "Leave your simple ways behind and begin to live. Learn to use good judgment." In verse 9, it says, "Instruct the wise, and they will be even wiser. Teach the righteous, and they will learn even more." Folly, on the other hand, says this in verse 13, "The woman named Folly is brash, she is ignorant, and doesn't even know it." So wisdom gives us the true perspective on life, true knowledge. And this knowledge is found in God. His way is the best way to live. But there's a reason why the Bible talks about sin as ignorance. Especially in the New Testament, there are these passages which talk about how ignorant people are when they are bound in sin. Now, it talks about sinners that way, not because we're not culpable, where it's like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, like they shouldn't be judged for it. No, that's not what ignorance means in those passages and what it means here. People are described as ignorant in their sins because it felt so natural. They didn't know any better. Like it's sort of like a fish swimming in water. That's all it knows. And when we are bound in our sin and bound in our foolishness, we don't know the right way to live. We don't know that there's any better way. We're just sort of going around making a mess of our life because we're completely ignorant. We're bound by foolishness. But wisdom, in a sense, removes the blinders from our eyes and presents us with true reality. Hey, here's God's way. Here's how to live. And that is so much better than being stuck in ignorance. We also see that wisdom prolongs your life, but folly cuts your life short. We see this in verse 11 and 12. It says, wisdom will multiply your days and add years to your life. If you become wise, you will be the one to benefit, i.e., you'll have a longer life. If you scorn wisdom, if you pursue foolishness, you will be the one to suffer. Now, again, we got to understand what Proverbs is doing here, and these Proverbs are just general truths. They're not ironclad promises. But generally, if you live wisely, you will have a longer life than making stupid, foolish decisions. Of course, anyone, even the wisest person in life, can be struck down with tragedy, with illness, with anything that can pop up in life because we live in this broken world. But in general, if you live wisely, you will have a longer life than a fool will. Just think about this scenario of running a red light, right? Running a red light, it's not a wise decision. Sometimes it works out fine, right? Sometimes you get through the light and, I'll have to admit, I have run red lights before, or you get caught in that really, it just turns red as you're kind of entering the intersection. Do you stop? Do you go? Whatever. You're trying to make those decisions. I've had that happen to me before. And thank the Lord, it's worked out every time so far, but that's not a wise decision to run a red light. And eventually, one foolish decision, one time through that light, could upend everything for your life. And so we need to be careful, because foolishness can cut our life short, and wisdom, making those good choices, generally can help us have a longer life. So if you want a long, successful life, choose wisdom. But the point isn't then, if you're granted this longer life, it's not to use that longer life in service of foolishness and your own selfish pleasures. It's to be used to honor God, to serve others, and follow his definition of success, which is living for his kingdom.